It censors what Canadians can see online, what they can post online, what they can hear online. The minister has said that this bill is about supporting Canadian culture, but that's actually not true. You see, the bill actually stifles creators. It stifles their voices. And in fact, subject matter experts have actually said that it likens Canada to countries like China or North Korea. So will the Prime Minister stop this damning overreach and kill Bill C-11?
The Honourable Minister for Canadian Heritage.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives had an option. They could side with Canadians, they could side with our music creators, with our film producers, with our actors, but they decided to side with the tech giants, abandoning the cultural sector.
That's
Mr.
terrible.
Speaker. And that's a shame
tech
in itself. There's another thing, Mr. Speaker. I don't think they understand the bill. I'm not even sure they read it at this moment.
I don't think they
did. A year
did.
after, because you read the bill, it's very clear. It's simply asking the streamers to support our culture. They understand that. Everybody understands that, but the Conservatives.
The Liberals are rejecting the Senate's amendments to the bill placed there to protect Canadians from being swept up by CRTC censors. A that was just caught tampering with the CRTC to benefit an international news agency at the cost of Quebec cable subscribers. Just wrote a letter bypassing any ethics left for the party to end freedom of speech. Add this to the diabolical show at PROC, where the Liberals look compromised in their filibuster, and then just didn't show up to a committee summary C-11. This enactment amends the Broadcasting Act to, among other things, A. Add online undertakings.
Member for Lethbridge.
I would invite the member opposite to listen to Canadians. When they came to the House of Commons and when they came to the Senate, they said the same thing over and over and over again. Creators, content experts, and Canadians at large do not want this bill. It stifles their voice, it prevents Canadian culture from being furthered, and it likens us to places like North Korea and China. It's a terrible bill. It needs to be killed. Will the minister concede to Canadian voices, give them the power, and stop this terrible legislation?
The Honourable Minister.
Well, we have to give it to my colleague. She's very creative, which is very good in the cultural world. But if you listen to the people in the music sector, in the film industry, the music industry, they're all behind this.
Yes.
Why? Because it's asking streamers that make a lot of money. It's fine. We're happy for them. It's just asking the streamers and Netflix, this of this world, to contribute to the creation of more music from here, for more films from here, for more television. It's good for Canadians, not for the Conservative. Good for Canadians.
Undertakings for the transmission or retransmission of programs over the Internet as a distinct class of broadcasting undertakings. B. Specify that the Act does not apply in respect of programs uploaded to an online undertaking that provides a social media service by a user of the service, unless the programs are prescribed by regulation. C. Update the broadcasting policy for Canada set out in Section 3 of the Act by, among other things, providing that the Canadian broadcasting system should I. Serve the needs and interests of all Canadians, including Canadians from racialized communities and Canadians of diverse ethnocultural backgrounds, socio-economic statuses, abilities and disabilities, sexual orientations, gender identities and expressions, and ages, and 2. Provide opportunities to Indigenous persons, programming that reflects Indigenous cultures and that is in Indigenous languages, and programming that is accessible without barriers to persons with disabilities. D. Enhance the vitality of official language minority communities in Canada, and foster the full recognition and use of both English and French in Canadian society, including by supporting the production and broadcasting of original programs in both languages. E. Specify that the Canadian Radio, Television and Telecommunications Commission, the Commission, must regulate and supervise the Canadian broadcasting system in a manner that I. Takes into account the different characteristics of English, French, and Indigenous language broadcasting, and the different conditions under which broadcasting undertakings that provide English, French, or Indigenous language programming operate. 2. Takes into account, among other things, the nature and diversity of the services provided by broadcasting undertakings. 3. Ensures that any broadcasting undertaking that cannot make maximum or predominant use of Canadian creative and other human resources in the creation, production, and presentation of programming contributes to those Canadian resources in an equitable manner. IV, facilitates the provision to Canadians of Canadian programs in both official languages, including those created and produced by official language minority communities in Canada, as well as Canadian programs in Indigenous languages. V, facilitates the provision of programs that are accessible without barriers to persons with disabilities. VI, facilitates the provision to Canadians of programs created and produced by members of Black or other racialized communities. And Zevendier takes into account the variety of broadcasting undertakings to which the Act applies and avoids imposing obligations on any class of broadcasting undertakings if that imposition will not contribute in a material manner to the implementation of the broadcasting policy. F. Amend the procedure relating to the issuance by the Governor and Council of Policy Directions to the Commission. G. Replace the Commission's power to impose conditions on a license with a power to make orders imposing conditions on the carrying on of broadcasting undertakings. H. Provide the Commission with the power to require that persons carrying on broadcasting undertakings make expenditures to support the Canadian broadcasting system. I. Authorize the Commission to provide information to the Minister responsible for that Act, the Chief Statistician of Canada, and the Commissioner of Competition, and set out in that Act a process by which a person who submits certain types of information to the Commission may designate the information as confidential. J. Amend the procedure by which the Governor and Council may, under Section 28 of that Act, set aside a decision of the Commission to issue, amend, or renew a license or refer such a decision back to the Commission for reconsideration and hearing. K. Specify that a person shall not carry on a broadcasting undertaking other than an online undertaking unless they do so in accordance with a license or they are exempt from the requirement to hold a license. L. Harmonize the punishments for offenses under Part 2 of that Act and clarify that a due diligence defense applies to the existing offenses set out in that Act. And M. Allow for the imposition of administrative monetary penalties for violations of certain provisions of that Act or of the Accessible Canada Act.
L'honorable député.
The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent. Mr. Speaker, the Liberal government likes to be in control, and they showed us that once again yesterday when they created a secret committee with secret hearings and secret evidence, secret conclusions. That is total Liberal control. But that's what motivates this government. That's what motivates them with the CRTC Act that they want to amend. But you know what this government can't control? The province of Quebec's will to be heard. Quebec wants to be heard. When will the Liberal government convene the committee so that Quebec can explain its stance? The Honourable Heritage Minister. Mr. Speaker, my colleague is from the same province as me. We're both Quebecois. I don't know if he's spoken to the La Disque Federation, but La Disque supports our bill. And the Union of Artists also supports our bill. Music producers, film producers, TV and movie producers support our bill. There's a lot of support for our bill. Why, Mr. Speaker? Because it's good for Quebec's culture. It's good for Canada's culture. The Conservatives don't like it because they don't care about culture, but we care about culture. We stand up for it, and we always will, Mr. Speaker.